For those of us with an engineering background, for those of us working in technology, the digital space, what we used to call information technology, we are wedded to the idea of problems and solutions. A lot of our training is about identifying problems, analysing problems, understanding problems, and then, and only then, crafting the solution to the problem. If you look at business analysis, the bulk of business analysis is trying to understand the problem, the need. And if any of you've worked in a team, you've probably on occasions heard business types, manager types, berating engineering types and saying, don't talk to me about technology, tell me about what it can do, tell me about the benefits. This idea that there are problems and there are solutions is ingrained in us. And I put up my hand. I am equally the same. I'm a big patterns person. I regularly write patterns, and a few years ago I wrote a book of business patterns. And in the patterns community, we try to capture reoccurring solutions. And those reoccurring solutions solve a problem. So although we start with the solutions, and typically we want to see 3 instances of solution, the secret is we work backwards to understand what is the problem that solution is repeatedly solving. This idea of problems and solutions can look a bit odd to people from outside our world. Last year I was listening to an episode of The Rest is Politics, and Clegg, the former British Prime Minister, Facebook executive, was on there, and he talked about when he moved from the UK to California and worked at Facebook and discovered all these engineers there, all these engineers trying to solve problems, and this was some kind of revelation to him. To those of us in the technology space, it seems obvious that we're here to solve problems, but let me suggest that perhaps we don't really understand the problems we have and the problems we face until we start to see the solutions. It is in envisaging and creating a solution that we understand the problem in depth. Let me give you Exhibit A USB connector. There you go. I did not know when this was the standard USB connector that I had a problem putting it in the wrong way. It never seemed like a problem to me. It is nicely shaped so that you can't put it in the wrong way. And if I ever tried to put it in the wrong way, I quickly knew. I didn't think I had a problem with this until somebody came along and started offering us USB-C connectors. And USB-Cs are reversible. I did not know I had a problem putting them in the wrong way around until we had this solution. Until this solution was presented to me, the problem was not clear. Of course, now we have reversible plugs. We have some other problems. I need to carry multi-head cables because we seem to have a proliferation of different head types. And also, when I reach for my USB cable, sometimes I pick up the wrong cable. So maybe I pick up a Thunderbolt cable here. More of a problem when I want a Thunderbolt and I pick up a USB-C. In the olden days when there were different heads, I knew immediately it was wrong because they had different heads. Now Thunderbolt and HDMI and USB-C and DisplayPort all use the same head. I don't know until I've plugged it in. And sometimes I pick up a USB cable wanting to do a data transfer, and I've actually picked up a power only cable. So our solutions also create problems. We create the next set of problems that need to be solved. So again, we don't really understand our problems until we see the solutions. I would like to introduce you to the garbage can model. The garbage can model's been knocking around for a few years. The garbage can model says 3 things. Firstly, your organisation, the place where you work, your company, your department, your office, whatever, you like to think it's rational, and we like to go through the motions of being rational. But perhaps your organisation is better characterised as an organised anarchy. things are a bit anarchic. There's some organisation, certainly I've seen this in organisations, and certainly when I think of organisations, particularly larger organisations I've worked with, if I try and think of them as an anarchy, it actually makes more sense to what's going on. The second thing the garbage can model says is these organisations have problems, some of which they may know about, some of which they don't know about, and these problems all go in our garbage can. Yeah, they all need to be fixed at some point. Yeah, ideally, although perhaps we live with them. The third thing the model says is every solution is somebody's product. Think about that. A solution is a product somebody wants others to adopt. They may have the best will in the world, but a solution is a product. It's offered as a way of resolving problems. Most obvious to see when someone is trying to sell in a product into your organisation. They're trying to sell you a piece of software, a piece of kit, a new process or something, and they're advocating you have to buy it. But the same thing happens inside your organisation. Some people in your organisation have hobby horses, have ideas, have things they think should be done, and these are their products, and they're trying to get people to take these products on board to solve their problems. So all of our solution products all get put in the garbage can with the problems. And periodically the organisation comes to decision points and it tries to match the problems and the solutions in the garbage can. And sometimes they're a better match and sometimes they're not. And sometimes they resolve a problem and sometimes they do something different. The technologies we call AI, artificial intelligence, let me suggest that they are overwhelmingly solutions looking for problems to solve. Graphic processing units, neural networks, large language models, they can do wonderful things. But at the moment, we know some of the applications for them, filtering medical scanned images, military targeting. We know some of them. We don't know all the problems they can solve. And we won't understand those problems until we start to apply those technologies. So right now, most of AI is a solution looking for a problem. Let me finish by saying there's 3 lessons I want you to take away from here. Consider your organisation might be an organised anarchy. Maybe it makes more sense to view your organisation not as a rational entity, but as an organised anarchy. 2, you don't understand your problems until you see a solution. The solutions define the problems. 3rd, every solution is somebody's product.